This is Robert Martellacci of the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's learning and technology e-magazine. And welcome to this special edition episode of This Week in Canadian EdTech. I'm honored to have join me for a MindShare Learning Moment, Ramy Ghattas, who is the co-founder and CEO of Logix Academy, a K-12 STEM robotics and coding company focused on the education sector. If you've not heard of them before, you may have heard of that little robot in the background as their premier product, the Dash and Dot. Thank you for joining me today, Ramy, in these challenging times.
Thank you so much for having me, Robert. It's an honor to be here with you.
Now, in most cases, when you have a product like yours, people would presume that, you know, the business isn't really doing very well at the moment, but it's about innovation, and necessity is the mother of invention. And you've been a longstanding startup beyond startup mode. What, are you 7 years into this now?
We're actually celebrating our 10th year. So that's really, really exciting.
Well, congratulations. So I'm not going to consider you a startup, but you've pivoted and you got some new and exciting developments that you want to share with us in serving the continuation of ensuring kids are learning at home and supporting kids and teachers and parents.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. You know, this is definitely an interesting time. And as you mentioned, you know, at Logix as a group of staff and employees and folks focused on primarily the education sector, this has been actually an exciting time for us. While we focus primarily on providing hands-on experiences for students in the classroom and support for educators and districts, you know, we've really been comfortable because we've worked remotely for many years. So a lot of our staff are very comfortable with this transition. So it hasn't really hit us in terms of a transition of working from home.
I hope everyone's healthy and well in your company, you being a newlywed and the rest of your team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been you know, we're all safe and well, and the family's well, and that's wonderful. You know, and I think right now, though, we're very thankful and fortunate as we can think about what is going on out there and what everyone is facing in these times. So absolutely looking towards what that transition looks like for students at home, for parents, for educators has been really interesting for us as a company, and really trying to innovate and realign and identify ways we can lean in and support from ministry level, school districts that we have many relationships with, and then teacher and student at home.
Fantastic. What I really admire about your passion in infusing STEM in education and inspiring the next generation is your background that you and your partner came from. So you have engineering backgrounds, graduates from the University of Toronto, very prestigious school, and you did your homework. You did not have an idea to go into this without really understanding deeply the subject matter, and kudos to you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's essential. That's really important, Robert. That what we do is based on is being tested, is based on research. You know, not just an idea, but it's filling a need in public education and our focus on working public education. And similarly, that's kind of how we've thought of transitioning now, where you know, continuing with our three focuses as a company. Providing experiences for students at home, and then providing support for educators. And you know, now they're at home as well. But how can they connect with their students? So keeping aligned with our programs for children, which we've taken all virtual. A lot of effort from our team members over the past weeks to transition all to a virtual learning environment. From a development perspective, developing virtual simulators and working with manufacturing partners on virtual simulators for all the robots. So whether you have a Dash at home or you don't, you can still experience it. And you know what's neat? That work has made us also rethink, what does school look like after this time period? You know, where the piece around equity has been really open to us now, where now maybe a school doesn't have a robot for every student, but they have a virtual robot for every student, and maybe they have some robots that they can share. So opening our eyes to how we can support public education even more as we go through this time and even after this time.
Absolutely. I think we're in for some exciting and new changes that will be forthcoming. I was reading recently, I've never been much of an historian, but I've been reading about the Renaissance era, because I understand that that was born out of a pandemic as well. So it was the bubonic plague that coincidentally came from China. So history does repeat itself, and it was followed by mass innovation, the arts and culture and business transformation, as well as mass education reform that followed. So, the timing is opportune as we explore new ways of living and working and learning, that it's only natural that, in this pivotal time, that we see change happen. And it's never been a more exciting time because of the power of technology and the value that you bring as the EdTech sector. And thank you for contributing to our Canadian resource hub that we shared free to all parents, teachers, and students across the country. That's estimated to be about $50 million that collectively the EdTech sectors come together to support continued learning at home. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, and hey, we're happy to be a part of the collection that you've really put together, Robert, and thanks to your effort for putting that together. And I think it's often at this time that we come in and to support, and thanks to also our partnership with Microsoft, who's really leaning in and supporting at this time, we're able to offer training for educators, utilization of solutions like Minecraft, a fun game that children use all the time. But now how do we engage them in some fun learning experiences around that from home? And how do we even connect remotely? What does that look like? What are platforms? But also, how do you provide comfort to the student during this time? Because it might not all be about grades and marking them. That's essential right now, but more so, how are students spending their time? What are the fears that are going on there, and what is the role of the educator during this time to support them? Because we sure know parents are busy at trying to engage the child, but also have full-time jobs at most of the time.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point you raised, because I saw a report. So across the country, someone did a summary of all the different types of learning expectations that teachers and students are expected to embark on, and it all varies. It's not every day. It's maybe 3 days a week. Some have 3 hours. Some have 5 hours. But I heard a story of one teacher sending the parents an email with all these worksheets. And the student was overwhelmed, one of them, and he was crying. And it's not all about demonstrating your ability to fill out worksheets. You are traditionally been focused on project-based learning with your STEM robotics activities. Perhaps you can offer some tips to parents, simple tips to parents and teachers. And I know you have free webinars on this as well, on the integration piece. But what could they simply do to just take the pressure off the kids and make it more interesting than worksheets, so they can continue their learning?
Yeah, great question, Robert. And I'm sure lots of different ideas out there, and happy to connect with folks after to share thoughts or connect with through the resources we have. But I think, in my opinion, it's all about, this is an opportunity to stop and rethink how to make education fun again and engaging again and make it relevant. So this is an opportunity where we kind of have a clean slate to carve that. And for parents, I think we have to be careful. I don't think it's necessarily the role of the parent to be the teacher at home right now, but rather providing them activities to keep them engaged, or facilitating the activities that the school is providing. So fun projects could be fun projects around the house. And there are many teachers doing amazing things in Canadian education system today with these ideas. But it could be simple things like the children building their own monitoring systems and learning all about Internet of Things and actually being creators of this technology, not just consumers of it. So we have students building, for example, security systems around their bedroom door, where they get a text message when their brother or sister come in and open their bedroom door.
That's cool. And steal their candies.
and steal their candies, right? or also looking
Yeah.
at things as the weather is getting better, maybe they have a backyard and they want to learn about planting and gardening, and they want to
Right.
learn about how to monitor the soil moisture of the plant and actually build a little mechanism to water the plant when it needs to be watered,
Great
rather
idea.
than when they have time to go out. So it's all about focusing on inspiration and innovation.
Right.
But it can also be simple things like just connecting with their friends and connecting with them on a social level. Maybe it's reaching out to a family member. Maybe it's writing a poem about this time period. So it could even be outside of technology for that sake to
Absolutely.
the child. I mean, we're focusing on how do we support to make it authentic, project based, using the technology, and those are things we can share resources with.
Ramy, Ghattas, some great ideas and inspiration. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule right now to give us some insight on the latest trends and happenings at Logix Academy.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Robert, and hope we can continue to support your initiatives and help parents, students, teachers, and districts across the country.
Awesome. Yeah, we should also mention our Schools of the Future Challenge is moving online, and we are going to encourage best practices and innovative ways that teachers have continued to learn and teach with their students. So we're going to allow for submissions through Flipgrid as well. So we're innovating, and so we're looking forward to seeing some great submissions, and happy that you're part of it as well. And so we're extending that to the end of June because of the current situation. So with that, thank you again so much, Ramy Ghattas, the co-founder and CEO of Logix Academy. My name is Robert Martellacci of the MindShare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindsharelearning Learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep the learning curve steep.